What's up, YouTube? Why you gotta stop giving a fuck about what people think? Welcome back to the Creed channel. Guys, gentlemen, everyone, I can't reiterate how important it is to stop giving a fuck about what people think. You will not be successful. You will not make changes. You will not get to where you want to be if you keep giving a fuck about what people think. And that goes along with the book that I've been reading on and off. Luther Versulian had actually added this on a book list that he had for us some time back. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And just something stood out to me about that book. And it's like, dude, we're only here for a short amount of time. And why should it matter what anybody else say or think about what the fuck you got going on? And that book resonated with me because I was always the one that was nervous to put something online. I was always the one nervous that would care what people thought about me doing videos like this. And then I just stopped giving a fuck. I just got into that book and I was like, damn, he's right. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time, but we ain't here for a long time. So why give a fuck about what somebody think? But then you can also go into, oh, well, you talk about getting your body right and losing body fat and all this other shit. Why would you give a fuck about what other people think then? Well, that's kind of different because the way those people see you, the way people see you is how they're going to gauge how to respect you, right? And if someone see that you don't respect yourself, they're not going to respect you. They're going to treat you like a second-class citizen, regardless of anything. And they're going to look at your big ass and say, oh, well, he don't respect himself, so fuck him, right? It's something that you have to actually live. It's something that you actually have to experience. I've been seeing a lot of videos on social media, and one of the guys said, bro, just get lean once. See how that difference is. My guy, I promise you that is not a lot. It's like get lean once and you will see the difference. I can say going from 315 down to 201 this morning is like, I can clearly see the difference. The only issue that I have is that it hasn't fully set in here yet. And my boy Anthony, he was like, bro, you got to start journaling. And I can't lie. It's like I started journaling for a while, but then I just stopped because I only want to focus on my inputs as far as, hey, I only want to lift weights. I only want to work on my diet, and I only want to get 10, 15,000 steps a day. I only want to read these books so I can be a better, father. I can be a better everything, right? And besides reading the Quran, besides touching, parts of each book that I'm reading, it's like, damn, journaling is actually not a bad thing because now I can sit still and reflect, right? And one of the things I wrote about today was actually, why did I give a fuck about what people thought about me? That's why I came up with this topic today. I know Luther hit on it a few times, but for me to sit down, really just disconnect, meditate, and be like, damn, why did I give a fuck about what other people thought? I think I gave a fuck about what other people thought because personally, I never felt good enough to be in some of the rooms that I was in, right? I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the intestinal fortitude to be like, I fucking belong here, right? Not because of, my education, not because of, things I had to do to get to this area, to this stage in my life. I just never thought I was good enough because the people around you can sometimes make you feel like that. But the main reason why I felt like that was because I wasn't in shape. If I can go into them same rooms right now and own the room. I can go into the same rooms right now and command it. And I don't even have to say much. But when you bigger and you don't have that confidence, when you bigger and you don't have that intestinal fortitude, when you bigger and you tend to be anxious and have that level of anxiety that when somebody even talk to you that you don't like, you just get that flurry in your chest. When you get in shape, as a man, when you get in shape, 99% of your fucking problems go away. I am a living fucking testimony. All of my problems went the fuck away when I decided that, hey, I'm going to fucking get my life right. And I'm going to start staying on it. I'm not going to just give up because I don't see results after a month. I got to keep going because it took me, 9-10 years to gain all that weight. The least I could do is just devote a year or two to getting my body back right. And it's responding so well that, I might be faster. I might be to my dream physique faster than what I thought. Now, don't get me wrong. My journey ain't over because I still I want to be that old guy to where it's like, damn, is that your dad? Like, yeah, that's my dad. Damn, that motherfucker cold. That's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, you want your son, girlfriend being like, God damn, that's your daddy? Like, yeah, that's my pop. Like, oh shit. You know, and you want your lady friends to be like, damn, that's your old man? Like, yeah, that's him. Damn, girl, I wish my old man would hit the gym and do all the other shit. You know, you want to be desirable. It's like that genuine attraction is a real fucking thing. It truly is. And when you've been big for so long, you forget what the fuck that feel like. Because I I swear I was reflecting on this shit today. I left my office to walk across the street to go look at a new apartment. I like the penthouse, but I'd rather have something a little bit smaller, a little bit away from everybody. So it's like I'm walking to this place and I'm not paying attention. I never really pay attention to anybody. I keep my music in my ear and I'm just going on about my business. So, and this, I ain't gonna go into body game stories. That's a whole nother channel. And Luther, it's your fault, dog. Anthony, it's y'all fault. But I was just walking, you know, minding my business, and for like I said, my mind still haven't caught up to this new version of me physically. Mentally, I'm there because I'm in touch with my emotions. I'm in touch with my feelings. I'm in, you know, I've come to the place where I have boundaries now and I can say, nah, fuck that. I don't want to do it. And not give a fuck about your feelings no more because it's not about you. It's about me. You know, I don't have an issue disagreeing with somebody and them thinking, oh, well, this dude's an asshole. I don't care anymore because that's not my problem. That's yours. You can't control my feelings, just like I can't control yours. But what I can do is respect how you feel, and you can respect how I feel. You know, being a stoic man is not about not feeling shit. It's about feeling it and not acting on those feelings. And that's why I went wrong in the past. If I felt you slighted me or offended me, I had to make it a point to let you know that. Nah, I ain't doing that shit no more. I can simply just decide, am I gonna rock with this motherfucker or I'm not? And if I respect you, I'll rock with you. But if I don't respect you, I'm just gonna go about my way. But I digress, right? So I'm walking, and like I said, I've caught up mentally and emotionally to the new version of Sean, but not necessarily physically because I'm still not thinking about this small shit. But it's really not small shit, it's real shit. So I was just walking, had the music on in my ear, and I felt like I felt a hand touch my hand. I'm just like, the fuck? So it was a chick. And I was just like, why would she do this shit? So I put my headphones like, hey, like, what's up? How can I help you? And I took my hand back. I was like, hey, how can I help you? She was like, hey, no, I saw you the other day and I saw you today. And I told myself if I see you again, I was gonna come talk to you. Now, Polish people ain't really like this, so I don't think she was Polish or whatever, but she had a lot of balls. I mean, I'm about 6'2". You know, she was a little tiny thing. So she just came up, she grabbed my hand. I was like, you know, that's for one, that's a G move. That's a man move. You know, you come grab a girl hand, like, hey, I'm this person. You know, that's what men do. I was like, damn, but you ain't finna emasculate me. So, you know, I grabbed my hand back. I was like, no, what's going on? She was like, hey, I said if I saw you again, I would come up and talk to you. She was like, my name is Maggie. I was like, Maggie, that's short for Magdalena? She was like, no, that's common over here, but it's just short for Maggie. I was like, well, you speak really good English with no real accent. She was like, well, I'm half Polish, half American. My dad was in the military here, but I was like, oh, okay, I get that. So you just a war baby. She was like, what's a war baby? I said, daddy came over here, beat cheeks and worked out on your mama. She's like, essentially, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then she was just, you know, she made small talk while I was walking because obviously I had somewhere to go. So she was just walking with me and was like, you know, hey, how old are you? I was just like, that's not really a question that you asked. I was like, how old are you? She was like, I'm 26. I was like, oh. She was like, well, how old are you? I was like, I'm about to be 38. She was like, no fucking way. I said, dead ass. She was like, you don't look like it. I was like, well, that's the thing about black people. You know, we age backwards. White people age like bananas. So she was like, she busted out laughing, like really, really started laughing. She was like, I get the joke because, you know, you have to eat a banana within a certain amount of days because they age so fast. I'm like, yeah, meanwhile, I'm going to look young the rest of my life and I'm not a vampire. So she busted out laughing and was like, hey, you got Instagram, you got a phone number. I was like, look, I ain't going to even lie to you. I can't even roll with you like that. She was like, what you mean? We can just be friends. I was like, nah, I can't do that. So she's like, why not? I won't say anything. I said, nah, I just can't. I was like, I really can't. If this was another time, another place, I would. I was like, but I just can't. And she understood. So she was just like, well, if you change your mind, I work over here in this bread shop. So I was like, okay, so now I know where not to go. She was like, what you mean? I said, I don't eat bread anyway. Now, I was just trying to leave it at that. So, and I'm not making this up, man. I put this on everything, right? I ain't gonna put nothing on my kids. I love my kids, but I put this on some serious shit. I was like, I can't really, I was like, I ain't gonna go in there anyway. She was like, well, I said, I don't eat bread. Man, when I tell you this woman had took her little hands and ran across my chest and my shoulders, she was like, I can tell. I was like, God damn. I was like, you kind of aggressive. She was like, I see what I like. I was like, look, I'm sorry, I can't. And then I didn't really feel like I needed to push and just say, hey, look, don't touch me, all this other shit, because she got the point. She was just shooting a shot. I wasn't mad. I was like, nah, I just can't go there with you. I'm definitely not on the market. So she was just like, damn it. And I walked away. And then I go to the apartment. I see it. It's a piece of shit. It's super tiny. Ain't got no bedroom, no TV. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So he's like, oh, this is a good spot. I was like, nah, not for the money. So I was like, I'm out. So I end up leaving. And I go back. I'm walking back to my office. And I mean, and then you get the stares. You get the people, you get the women that'll look. And I was like, all right, cool. Once again, I'm not thinking about it. My mind still hasn't caught up to what's going on around me. And I didn't have nobody touch me this time, but you would get the, hey, and I'm just like, hey, what's up? I just keep it moving. Once again, not thinking. And so I went back to the office and I told one of my guys that worked for me, he was like, bro, what you mean? He was like, I see it all the time when we walk. Bitches always looking up at you. I was just like, bro, I just don't notice. Gotta be talking. He's like, bro, I love walking with you. Cause at least for a minute, I feel like they're looking at me, but they looking at your ass. I was like, damn. And then, like I said, I'm not here to self-glaze or do none of that shit. I'm simply trying to get a message to the fellas. Bruh, the other side of being a big guy is being desirable. Not just, sexy, but it's being desirable. Because, I might not be somebody's cup of tea. Being 6 foot plus, doing well, with your career and, six pack and all that shit, that might not be for everybody. You know what I mean? It is for most women who, like what they like. But once again, I'm not everybody's cup of tea and I'm not looking for it. But when you get on the other side of this, you experience shit you never would have expected as a fat ass. Because when you a fat ass, you literally are invisible. Like, fellas, this is not a game. You are invisible because you look like every other guy that's on the street. You look like every other guy that's walking by, going to a fast food spot, going to the bread spot over here, walking into the Zabka. You really do look like the same guy. And like I said, I'm wearing a fucking a large t-shirt right now, a large shirt right now, and it fits fucking perfectly. But once again, I'm not thinking about all of this extra shit because I'm not used to thinking about it. I'm used to just, hey, I'm just gonna go here, I gotta get and come back. I'm not used to being stopped to talk to about women. I'm not used to, at least, nowadays, I'm not used to that. For the past 5-6 years, the only time anybody outside of my lady would probably stop and talk to me because like they knew me. Okay, so he's this guy, he makes this much, and he got some intellect on him. Like, that's the only reason why I could figure somebody would try to desire you like that. But it's different when you don't look like those guys and you don't give a fuck about what other people think. When you stop giving a fuck about what other people think, you take back so much control of your life. It's fucking next level. I recently just took a step back, right? I took a step back. And even when I'm walking through the park in the morning, shooting my little videos, I don't even give a fuck if people walking up like, oh, who was you talking to? None of your fucking business. Like one of the people that I work with, oh man, I walked by you this morning. I think you was making a video on your phone. Why are you making videos? I was like, why the fuck are you in my business? I can't do what I want to do. Oh, I was just asking. I wasn't trying to pry. Like, well, you were prying. The old me wouldn't have said that. I'd have been like, oh, no, I was just experimenting. But me, fuck your opinions and fuck what you think. You don't have nothing to do with me. I ain't got shit to do with you. You mind yours and I'll mind mine. The whole world would be such a better place if people just mind their own fucking business. And when you mind your business and you focus on you, man, it's the fucking greatest feeling ever. I was asked, Sean, what made you stop giving a fuck about so much shit? It's like that I don't not give a fuck because certain things I do care about, but I'm no longer going to care about the opinions of other people about me. I'm just not, because what you going to do, ridicule me for putting out YouTube videos? Okay. You going to ridicule me for putting out videos on TikTok and Instagram in the morning to try to inspire somebody, to try to help them get their shit together because I was that guy. I was that guy looking at the YouTube and the TikToks depressed. You know, I was the guy looking at all that shit, wondering, you know, how am I gonna get my life together if I can't even lead myself properly? You know, something had to change. I'm not asking for nobody to pay me millions of dollars, but if you come across one of my videos and you like, damn, you know, he makes some good points. Well, what did he do that I'm not doing that I can do to get the way he at? And it's simple, guys. You gotta have patience, you gotta have resilience, and you gotta have fucking discipline. You gotta, for the first time in my life, I don't mind conflict. In fact, I welcome the shit. And I had a conflict yesterday when I was playing golf. It was Sunday. I went to walk the course. I got a text message. It was some slick shit. So, normally before I used to get this nervous feeling like, oh, here we go. But no, not no more. It's just like, I got time today. What's up with it? You know what I mean? It's like, did you do this when you was doing? Well, I wasn't doing this, but simple mix up, whatever the fuck, right? It doesn't bother me no more because my care ain't in that. It's not in that moment. It's I'll address it and then I'll move the fuck on. It is what it is. When you step into who you are meant to be, it is such a great feeling. It really is. And that's going to start with accountability and along the line, not giving a fuck about what people say or think. It take a real motherfucker with some balls to tell you to your face, I don't like none of the videos that you put out because I feel like they this, they that. And I'll be like, well, that's your opinion and I don't respect it. But, you can go fuck yourself because I'm pretty sure there's an area in your life where you lacking. And hate always come from below. Carry that with you wherever you go, fellas. Hate always come from below. From a motherfucker who ain't on your level, from a motherfucker who ain't trying to get on your level, but don't want to see you do well. Shit, I was telling my son last night, we was talking for about an hour on the phone. I was like, man, I don't know. I just got a good feeling that something good gonna come of this. He's like, Dad, you need to get a podcast. I was like, what? He's like, you need to get a podcast. He's like, you got a gift for this shit. He's like, I'm captivated listening to you, and I don't even like long form content. I was like, cool. I was like, you just saying that because you my son. He's like, Pop, I really wouldn't give a shit. It's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, well, he pretty real about that. But I I thought it was interesting. And he's already understanding that concept, don't give a fuck about what people think or they say. I know he's not ready for this book, but I'm going to recommend it to him. The Way of the Superior Man. I don't want to shield him from heartbreak, but I want him to be able to guide situations when it comes to women. I want him to be able to know more than I knew when it comes to how to be in touch with your emotions and your feelings, because he will be way better off, way ahead of his league than I was at his age if he has the right tools to be successful. I've already said it and I stated it. I'm a great provider, but as a significant other, as a husband, as a boyfriend, as a fuck buddy, I wasn't shit because I just believed in just providing, and it took for some real soul searching and understanding to know that there's more to being somebody's significant other than just buying them everything they want. You got to be present. You got to be there. And it's going to start with not giving a fuck and being okay with conflict. It's okay to have boundaries. I didn't understand that. I figured if I'm in this situation, I don't need to have boundaries with this person and they don't need to have boundaries with me. When I'm at work, I don't need to have boundaries because I need to be available. That is the wrong mindset, fellas. Do not fall into that trap like I did. Have boundaries with these bitches. Have boundaries with your woman. Have boundaries with your side chicks. Have boundaries with the people at work. Because if you don't, you're going to do like this. You a motherfucker without a spine. You a nice guy. Guys, don't be that nice guy. Women say they want a nice guy, but they fucking don't. Your friends are, oh man, he's a nice guy. Don't fall into that shit at all, because that nice guy shit do not get you respected, especially if you a fat body. If you a fat body and you a nice guy, you are doomed for depression and a whole lot of debauchery. That's not where you want to be. I'm not telling you to wait till you get in shape to be, to not be a nice guy. I'm telling you, get yourself together mentally and emotionally. Start by having that conversation in the mirror with you. People think it's the stupidest shit in the world. No, I legit talked to myself in a mirror before I started my health journey. And I told myself, look, you can't keep brushing your teeth in the dark because you don't like how your physique look. You can't keep hurrying up to walk by a mirror when you're naked because you don't like how you look naked. If you don't like how you look naked, how does your woman gonna like you naked? She gonna tell you, oh, babe, it's cool. Once again, that's not true. She telling you that to save your fucking feelings and spare you. You know what I mean? So take that shit into account. Give a fuck about that. I'm definitely saying give a fuck about what was said and thought in that instance, because that genuine desire can make shit worse for you if it's not there. You know, I never understood this about, some women, like they'll see, Brad Pitt on TV, Michael J. White. Oh my God, they so trim, they so cut. But it's like, okay, but I never see them. That's just me fine. I ain't never see them. But why not give it to her at home? You know what I mean? And then my homeboy was like, a woman ain't gonna necessarily want that. I'm like, why wouldn't she? It'll be cool for a little while, but when you start holding her to that standard, when you start changing out everything in the house that you got to eat, and when other women start fawning over you, that's gonna switch the position. I was like, I don't think so, because a woman will always want a man that another woman won't. He said yes until it's in her fucking home. I was like, what you mean? Explain. He's like, motherfucker, you think you looking like Apollo Creed gonna make your life easier? I was like, well, I would think so. He was like, nah, dog, you may think that, but that's when the insecurity for the woman come in. Yeah, you gotta leave and go out. Yeah, you gotta leave and go do things. But now you put that in the back of her head that, damn, my man attractive. It's gonna be this bitch, that bitch that's on him. He was like, and there's nothing wrong with healthy competition. He's like, but for a man who don't know how to control himself, that's gonna be a nightmare. And I said, look, maybe that was God's timing. Maybe it was God's timing to get myself in physical shape at 36, 37 years old, going into my early 40s and mid 40s, because this is who I am now. Maybe I'm finally mature enough to handle these things, because the old me, if I'm 25, 26 years old and that shit happened to me today, backseat, shorty would have been backseat clapping like we in church. But that's not where I'm at. It took some real maturation. And I have to leave y'all with this, because some people think that men mature as they get older. Bullshit. Men do not mature as we get older. We mature as we get hurt and go through pain, right? Because those lessons shape our heart. Those lessons shape our feelings. Those lessons shape our mind. Like me, I probably never look at women the same again, because for so long, I always thought it should be this way. But in reality, it's not. I've had to learn that a woman is only going to love you conditionally. If you want unconditional love, get that shit from your mama, right? She gave birth to you, so she has to love you unconditionally if you still have your mom, right? But, I set myself up by not being pragmatic. You know what I mean? By not thinking that someone else can have their own life and it not revolve around you because of what you do and who you are, right? And that the pain of, feeling that, it's really shaped how I move. It's shaped how I deal with certain situations. And it's always going to shape how I see myself in these types of relationships, not with just women, but with my friends, with my parents, and I'm always going to be an advocate. Guys, if you ain't got a group of male friends, you need to fucking go get some, because you hanging out with these boys, your friends, your homies, they're going to give you perspectives you never thought you'd see. And I understand some women are raised by women, but it's that woman raised you like to be the man that she thought she wanted. But in real life, she don't even want that man. Because if you ever notice, if you grew up with a single mom, she always kept going back to that asshole, but that nice guy she treated like shit. But all women say they want a nice guy. They don't want no fucking nice guy, bro. Don't believe that. They don't, right? They want a leader. They want somebody who firm, and not firm as just in the emotional shit, firm physically too. Bro, get off your ass and go in that gym. Eat right. Lead, bro. Like, show that you are disciplined. And it ain't an act. This is something who you are. Oh yeah, I'm up at 3:30 every morning for the gym. Oh, I'm not eating that goofy shit. She gonna see that and know that you take yourself serious. And if a woman see that you take yourself serious, she gonna take you serious. And if she see that you don't give a fuck about what other people say or think, that you focused on your purpose, bro, the world is gonna be in the palm of your hands. Take that into consideration. God, your purpose, then these women. Because these women gonna come and go. Your purpose gonna keep you driven, but God is always gonna be there and he'll never forsake you. And that iron in the gym, it ain't gonna never forsake you. It's gonna talk to you, hey, it's a long story. Hey, I got time. They there for you. And I hate to personify it like that, but the shit I was going through in my life, they were there for me. When I felt like my life was just imploding and I ain't had nowhere else to go. I was in the gym crying. I was in the gym praying and talking to myself. But on the other side of all that pain, I came out looking good in the motherfucker and still getting better. And I came out feeling better than the motherfucker, right? So don't think for 1 second people's opinions should fucking matter. They shouldn't. What they say, what they think. Stop giving a fuck about what they think, because it's holding you back. Like, I don't care about what people think no more. One of these videos may go viral. Dude, my dreams are like this, but God's plan may be like that. Dream big, pray bigger. Go after what you want. Stop giving a fuck about these people and their thoughts, because it ain't gonna get you nowhere. And if you really want something, go get it. My calendar is in the description. Holla at me. It's a lot we could talk about, and I'm here for you. But you got to take that first step. And that first step is accountability, and stop giving a fuck about what these people think, because can't none of them pay your fucking bills, or they willing to. So you could tell them to take their opinions and wipe their ass with it, because it's going to go in the toilet anyway. But you got to get the courage to say that, and you got to get the courage and the fortitude to actually feel it and walk like it. Put them shoulders back when you walk. Have that head up a little bit. Walk slower. The world moves to your beat. You don't move to the beat of the world. And I had to start thinking like that. And god damn, it feel good. Dead ass. But I'm going to holler at y'all, and don't play them fucking away games.